When we think of bad men in a relationship context, we often think of men that will crush a woman's heart, willingly. These men are like, yeah, that sounds like me, that's what I do. And there are bad men like this out there. Some are like a T-Rex, you can hear them coming, so hopefully you run. But there are other guys that are way sneakier. When you meet one of them and talk to him for the first time, he will say the right things. And after the first date, you will feel like you've known him for 5 years. All the lights in your mind will turn green, not a red flag in sight. You will introduce him to your friends and family and they may love him. When he walks outside, birds start chirping, he's special. And yes, that he is, because he has a secret. One you will only find out after weeks of dating him, and sometimes only once you are in a relationship with him. And the secret of one of the types of men I want to talk about in this video is that this guy secretly resents women. And he may not even be fully aware of that. More on that in a minute. Another type of man's secret is that he's so emotionally broken that he needs his woman to fall apart so he can feel normal. And again, the biggest problem with some of these men is they are not a T-Rex. You don't hear them coming. The ground doesn't start shaking. They are more like a virus. When you start feeling it got you, it's too late. They look like good guys on the surface. That's what makes them so dangerous. So in this video, I want to dive into some of these types of men and how you can spot them. My name is Geert, I'm an author. I also go by the pen name Brian Knox. I write about dating, relationships and other topics. And I want to start with the man who resents women. Because that sounds a bit strange. If he does, why would he even start a relationship with one? Shouldn't he just get a goldfish instead? Why would he date women? Because he's human. He feels attraction and he can even fall in love. But at the same time, in some cases, he has, for example, had very bad experiences with women in the past. Sometimes even with his own emotionally unavailable mother when he was a child. So, he lost faith. And if this is his reason for resenting women, that's where a very dangerous dynamic can start to form. So this man carries deep unhealed emotional wounds related to women. He meets a woman and starts falling for her. She sees the good in him because he seems like a great guy, so she gets closer. But that is exactly what triggers his old wounds. Her love feels very dangerous to him. He doesn't trust it. And here's where it gets even stranger. This type of man sometimes resents his girlfriend exactly because he's falling for her and that gives her a certain power over him. And he doesn't like that. So now, two systems are running in his mind and they are total opposites. I like her, and, oh no, she's dangerous. And as I said, he may not even be fully aware of that deep-rooted resentment. But it is steering his actions. Now you can imagine that for the woman who falls for this man, it's going to be very difficult. He will confuse her more than a cat that begs for attention and then runs away when you try to move closer. Because here's the thing, if you are dating a guy without these emotional wounds, not everything will be perfect. For example, you may not know where you stand with him because he's not telling you. But his communication is clear. He tells you he likes you or he doesn't. Clear communication. With this guy here, the emotionally broken one, tells you he likes you a lot one day and then totally ignores you for 2 weeks after that. And if you say something about it, he says you are too clingy. Yeah, it's obviously all your fault then. And that's a big and important sign here. He changes direction all the time. He's sending huge mixed signals and you will start to feel in your gut that there's something wrong with him. But remember, it's still not a T-Rex. So a lot of women don't run. Some even clearly see a hurt little boy inside of him and they may want to help that boy. And indeed, this guy can have good in him. But there are obviously also men in this group that are not good at all, and one of those guys is the man who needs his girlfriend to fall apart so he can feel normal. This is the man who starts something romantic with a woman who feels perfectly fine at first, but then, a couple of weeks or months in, her friends and family start sounding the alarm bells because they don't even recognize her anymore. And this can, for example, happen when she's dating a narcissist. Narcissists often resent anyone who doesn't make them feel superior. They usually only like people who boost their ego. Narcissists are not emotionally okay and they start pulling everyone down to their level. And some narcissists are like a T-Rex. They do it in obvious and very loud ways, but the sneaky ones have a different approach. Some narcissists make you feel like you are the problem in subtle and under-the-radar ways. And if they're good at this, the woman who's with one of these narcissistic men starts to believe she's the problem, because he made her think that. He's cold? Well, she must have said something wrong. He pulls away? Well, she probably came on too strong. But let's be brutally honest. When a man resents women for whatever reason, he will also resent her, even if she treats him like gold. It's who he is. And the more she gives, the worse it gets. These men don't want a romantic connection. They are looking for control. And one way bad men try to get it is by making you doubt yourself. For example, by gaslighting. Now, we've already looked at a big sign that you are dealing with one of these men in general, so not just narcissists, and that was huge mixed signals and that gut feeling that something's off about him. Here's another sign. When you stop playing your role in his little emotional theater, when you are not responding or behaving the way he would like you to, when he cannot control you, he may escalate. So he goes from a man who was at least acting and pretending like your feelings matter to him, a man who was at least trying to say the right things, to a man who, for example, gives you the silent treatment. He may withhold affection, or he may guilt trip you, or he starts playing the victim. You've changed, is what he may then say. It's like you don't like me anymore. And indeed, he may even start to sound like a 5-year-old trying to get his mom to give him what he wants. Whatever tactics he uses, it's very important to know that this man is not interested in who you really are. He's interested in how much of yourself you are willing to give up to be with him, so he can have that control he's looking for. He's not looking for intimacy, he's looking for power. And this is a major, but sometimes a subtle sign. The more emotionally broken a man is, the more control and power he's looking for. And do you want to know why? It's because deep down, he feels powerless. Maybe he was abandoned in the past, or betrayed, or neglected, maybe all three. So now, control becomes his survival mechanism. Not connection, not love, control. And if he cannot control his own inner world, he will try to control yours. And I think one of the more difficult parts is that these men don't always show up with obvious anger when you first meet them. They may even show up with romance, until they don't, until their mask drops. And when the woman starts to notice that, he might say she's too emotional. But even if she becomes very emotional, that's just a symptom. He was the cause. And also, aside from spotting the signs I talked about, the important thing to know is this. You cannot fix a man like this. He needs professional help, not a good and well-meaning girlfriend. Because thinking you can fix him is of course part of the trap. He's going to have to put in the hard work himself. Nobody can do it for him. So I hope this video gave you some valuable insights, and I hope they help you spot these guys a little bit better. If you want more, you can find that on brianknox.com or in my books. Just go to Amazon and type my pen name, Brian Knox, in the search box over there. Then you will get a list of all of my books. And hey, thank you for still being here at the very end of the video. I love it when you do that. So thank you, and I hope to see you in another video.